Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Tia Rogers, and welcome to Tammy's podcast. Um, we were discussing uh, awareness of ourselves, the world we live in, and the powers we have within us to live the lives that we choose to live. Each day, we are awakened through His grace and mercy, and what we how aware are we of ourselves? How aware of you? How aware are you of yourself? Um, and I shared with you some of my story on awareness. And what I didn't share was how I I found my awareness along the journey of becoming better, wanting to be better, wanting to make my life better, wanting to create um, create a life that I don't need a vacation from. How about that? And that process was, it was a process and getting it all together. Um, Going through the 9-week suspension, building um, a new entity of myself, um, stretching myself in ways that I didn't know that I could actually stretch, really, because I never really pushed the bar. How many of us really push the bar to see just how much we have within us that we can actually create and develop on our own? As we're talking about awareness, we discussed the mindset and of our awareness, our perspective, of how we view the world, how we see the world, um, and things, how that impacts our lives. Something wrong here. How that impacts our lives, and how does that move us into action? How does that move us into taking responsibility, disciplining ourselves, and using our self control to work towards the goal that we wish to seek? And if your goal is to become a better person, become a better being, what does that look like for you? What does that take for you? What does it all include for you? And how can we grow and develop together and impact the world in a positive way to make the world better, to make it different from what it's been? Uh, the next part was health, and our health. It's an impact. It impacts on our ability to live a vital, healthy life. If you are not well, you probably are not performing well. And health issues are a factor. A lot of people have different ailments today. There is multiple sclerosis, there is lupus, there's arthritis, there is diabetes, heart uh, issues, there's Alzheimer's, there's all different type of things that can impact our life as we go on. And our diet, our nutritional diet plays a big part in that, because we are really what we eat. And the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the better you fuel your body, the more vital your body can be, the better it will operate for you. Making sure that you get your water intake every day, because our body's made up majority of water. So the water definitely does help keep the organs and our insides flowing, keeps our digestive tract doing what it needs to do for us to keep us healthy, so that we can eliminate the waste and have a healthy life. And what do we do if should we feel a little sluggish? Do you need a multivitamin? Do you need maybe a dose of vitamin B, or vitamin C, or vitamin D for that matter? Um, how are you going about ensuring that you are doing all that you can do to ensure that you have good health, to keep your mind straight, keep your body straight, keep everything, all the levels. I'm not a, what I say, not bio, well, I'm not a biology teacher, I don't know that much about anatomy. Um, I know some, I can't remember it all. So I'm not going to sit here and try to give you something that I don't have. But what I do know is that our nutrition plays a big part in our health. Our daily activities, are we getting enough physical fitness? And moving around, especially when you find yourself in a stressful situation. We're talking about awareness here, from our mindset to our health, how our mindset can impact our health. Because if we're not healthy, we're not feeling good, one. Two, we're probably thinking all the worst things, because we always think the worst first, and then we think the positive things, right? And as we're working to change these things around, um, and sometimes you may even have a chemical imbalance where you may even have to see a professional doctor to help you get a handle on that. And that depends on your perspective on health, how you, with your perspective on health care and health, well, now it's called healthcare management. Um, what your perspective is on that. Do you trust it? Do you not trust it? What do you think about it? Do you think that they really are here to enhance health, or are they here to keep us sick? But how do we counteract that? We play a big part in that, and that a big part in that is making sure that we're getting the fibers and things that we need in our bodies, the proper minerals and nutrients. Zinc is a very big thing. Zinc helps with the what does zinc help with? It helps with the iron in our body. Iron as well, the green leafy vegetables. You need all of that to help build you to become the person that you need, that you want to become, who you are being today, and also to give yourself some longevity. You want to live as long as you can. And sometimes our health will impact the way that we think. It will impact how we operate. It will impact how we interact with others. And we want to be in the best health that we can be in, and we want to be in the right frame of mind as we're moving forward, especially as we are growing, learning, and healing. You're not expected to know everything. Are you going to stick to your daily regimen, your diet, making sure you eat at the right time, so that, not eating after 7 is a big one for me. Not eating after 7 because I want my food to be able to digest and do what it needs to do throughout the night, so that I'm not carrying any extra weight. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the weight comes regardless of whether or not you eat healthy or not. It could just be the way you're genetically made up. We talked about, in one of our previous talks, we talked about creating a family tree, our genealogical tree, as an activity with the families. And if you still have your elders with you, it's good to sit down with them and the children, so that you can kind of hear the stories about who each person is and who they were, who they're related to, how you all became to be, to how you became to be. It's a very interesting project to do. I also talk about the importance of listing the medical issues throughout the family history. It doesn't mean that you will get it. It just means that there may be a risk factor to you getting it. And knowing those health issues will definitely give you and your children a heads up, and maybe hopefully help them to make healthier choices when they're making healthy choices of things to eat and what they put in their body to fuel their body. The ability to change or conform in your life journey. Changing health habits is challenging sometimes. It can be, because you have to start out doing things small until you can gradually increase it over time. And change is sometimes difficult for some of us, and how we perceive that change, and how quickly can we catch ourselves when we find ourselves getting in that rut that says, I'm tired of eating the same thing, I'm tired of doing the working out every day, I don't feel like doing it. How do you pump yourself up? How do you train your brain, shift the paradigm in your brain to say that this is healthy for me, this is going to fuel my body, this is going to help me to be able to do the things that I need to do when you don't feel like it. And when you do those things and you push yourself to go and do what you need to do, whether it's exercise and have that snack, the healthier choice snack, instead of candy, maybe having some apple slices, you can have a little caramel or peanut butter to dip it in. That's kind of healthy as well. If you have a little sweet tooth, the caramel works. But at least you're making a healthier choice for your life, and putting things in your body. And when it comes to change, a lot of people have difficulty with it. One, they're unfamiliar with it. They don't know if it's going to work for them right away. They don't know how it's going to benefit them or not benefit them, if they will have any issues during the process of making this change. But we know that we have to change at some point. If it impacts our health, it impacts how our everyday living goes, change can't hurt. Change can only help. And a lot of times we fall victim to conformity, doing what we always do, or going along with the crowd because everybody else is doing it, because we don't want to stand out. We don't want to be looked upon as different. But there's something grand in your uniqueness. There's something amazing in your uniqueness, because God created you to be who you are to be. But do you know who you are? Do you know who you want to be? Do you know who you want to become? And why would you want to make that change? What is it about your life that you would like to change? If it's anything that you would like to change at all. The difference between conformity and change is change. Sooner or later, you're going to see, feel, and experience the effects of the change that you are implementing into your life. If it's reading for 20 minutes every day so that you can get through reading a book, if you read for 20 minutes every day, the next thing you know, you'll be reading for 40 minutes, maybe the following week. And you start extending your time longer and longer, to the point where sometimes you get down and you just read the whole book in one sitting. Isn't that amazing? But that takes time. You build up to it. And the same thing with change. You build up to the change. You build up to the person that you are becoming. You build up to the person that you wish to become. And that's all through your self-awareness, who you are, who you like to be, the self-image that you have of yourself, and the perspective of how you see yourself, how you see your life, and where you see your life going from here. Now, I asked the question was, does change cost you something? Well, one thing I learned about this life is that somewhere along the line, whether you decide to change or if you choose to just stay as you are and go along with the crowd and just stay with those, and I don't want to make it like it's people, okay, how do I say this? Conformity. Conformity is when you're just going along with the crowd. You don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, whether it's right or wrong. You're just going to go along with it. But change requires you to move differently, act differently, and you're going to behave different. And all of that is because you're taking the steps that you need to take to begin the change. Say you are just starting out in business, you don't really have everything in place. Maybe you don't even know what you need to have in place. And in business, To be a bona fide business, you either have to develop a LLC or a corporation or something, some along those lines. And feel free to go back and visit the YouTube channel, Tia Life Growth Specialist, because I have much work there that goes into business. What do you need in business to succeed in business? Your business plan, what is a part of a business plan? All that information is there for you to go back and review at your leisure. And one thing I know about change is it's going to cost you something. You have to lose something to gain something. They say that if God takes something away, he always replaces it. And I believe that is true, because out of all the things that can be taken away or have been taken away in life, whether it is just the circle of life, because the circle of life, we're born and we all have an expiration date. It's what you do in the dash of that expiration date that is going to make the difference in your life and impact other people's lives as well. And when you step out to make that change, and I use the example of starting out in business. A lot of people will start out in business and they may not be quite business ready, but they have an idea, they have a craft or skill that they can provide to others in exchange for monetary exchange, which makes them profitable and also satisfies a person's need, want, and or desire. So starting out, you may be a little nervous. You may not want to do all the things that are required as a business person. And one thing that I've learned since getting into all of this is that, because I wanted to play behind the scenes, I thought that it was going to be easy to just come, build my store, and just work from there. Just, socialize with those that purchase my products and get to know my customers so that I can do better communicating with the distributors to find the right quality products that are fitting. It's such an amazing journey, building a store. And anyone that's interested in learning how, I would love to share with you. So maybe we could do a little talk about that and how someone goes about building a store. But we all know that YouTube has plenty of things out there on how to build a store, depending upon what platform you use. Because I've just learned also that there's other platforms that do the same exact thing, but maybe set up differently. I only know about the one platform, and that's the one that I use for Tammy's. And along that process, the more I was trying to hide and play in the background, the more I was reading that I needed to stand out front. I needed to be able to stand up and be willing to be the face of my business. And to be quite frankly, in the beginning, I was terrified. I was terrified to stand up. One, you're just starting out building. You don't want to tell everybody, because the most times when you start out business, you tell your family and close friends first. And if that doesn't go over too well, that's really going to shut you down and make you feel like, I don't want to tell anybody about this. But don't shut down. Keep on going, keep building. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself and represent your company, your business, because it's you. You are the business. And if you are missing some key things, your business is going to miss some key things too. And it may not perform as well as you would like it to. So that's why I'm taking the time to have these podcast series with you, to ensure that you feel comfortable doing what you need to do. Are you going to be afraid? Yes. Some things you are going to be afraid. I was very afraid to go live and figure out what I was going to say. What was I going to talk about? How am I going to, sell the products? And at that time, I didn't even have any products. Everything was basically online. I hadn't even started purchasing items to see, the quality of them. And the more I realized that I had to be in the front, the more I realized the responsibility that came with it. Not only do I want people to be happy with the product that they select and that they choose, I want the product to fit. I want it to be comfortable. I want it to be something that they will wear and get compliments on, as well as tell their friend, hey, this is where I got that from, as well as provide them information as well through the blogs on how to become better, different things of that nature. I was terrified, completely terrified. But one thing I can say, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method does work. It works. It works. It works. It works because you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, hit your live button and just start talking. And the more I started to do it, the more comfortable I got with it. And I realized that if I was going to make it, I had to turn this into fun. I had to make this a little bit more adventurous and exciting for myself so that I can provide you some enthusiasm about what I was doing, some excitement. And I can attest that if you go back and you watch some of those YouTubes or any of my lives on Facebook, you will see some of the different phases that I went through. And that was part of my growing, learning, and healing process. In the beginning, you can see the fear. You can hear my hesitancy. You can hear my discernment about the importance of the value of the information that I was bringing to you all. Because I know words hold power. And I want to make sure that I am providing information that is helpful, useful, and actually something that you can apply to your own life. And if you would like, please feel free to leave a comment, leave a review. It helps us grow. It helps us become better. It let us know where our weaknesses and our strengths are. And that's what I learned along that process of my change, because I could no longer be a part of conformity. Everything that I thought in conformity, that I thought was safe, sound, and secure, turned out not to be safe, sound, and secure. So I had no other choice but to jump into something different and take the risk of betting on myself. And betting on myself required me, I wouldn't say it so much required me, but it does kind of require you because it kind of draws it out of you. It draws out of me who I was as a person, who I was being, where my perspective of life was. And I had to pay attention to my thought patterns because, mind you, when I started, I was in my grief process from losing my parents. So everyone knows if you lost a parent or if you lost your parents, there's that feeling of feeling like an orphan because everything that you know is gone. That comfort zone, if you had a bad day and you called your mom or you called your dad to discuss the bad day and they turned it around and made it better for you, you now no longer have that. And how did you muster that? I was blessed to be able to have my blog section to that. So a lot of my blogs was releasing a lot of my struggle to stay in a positive manner and not take the loss as from the base of what I was feeling. Because the feelings I felt during that time were overwhelmed, definitely exhausted, confused, very confused. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know how to pick up the pieces. And I still had so much to put together. I still had things I had to settle and get done. I had to deal with some realizations of others. And not that I took on the words that they said or the comments that they said, but I listened. I listened to the comments. And it was through those comments that triggered my awareness, because what I was hearing, how they were describing me, what their perception of me was, not the perception that I had of myself. It was not how I would describe myself. So I had to look a little deeper at who I was, what I was doing, where I was at that particular time in my life. And I had to make a choice. I had to make some choices to change some things or not change some things. Some things I changed, some things I liked. So I kept them because they're a part of me. And some things are a part of me that will never change, because that is just part of who I am as a person. And all of that comes with me. You'll hear me say, um, you bring you with you no matter where you go, right? You can't leave yourself behind. So if you have stinking thinking, if you have um, a poor mindset and your perspective on life isn't of a greater pasture, you're going to bring all of that with you when you come. And through the process, as I'm building, learning to separate myself from the crowd of which I was a part of, that I was intertwined in. And it doesn't take anything away from the crowd that I was a part of, because I loved them just as much as they loved me. And it's just that when you're growing, sometimes we begin to grow and we spread out and we go other ways. We take other pathways in life, and our experiences dictate who we are becoming, of our awareness of our environment. Is it safe? How do we keep ourselves safe? If you've been hurt before, how fast are you willing to go out and try something new again? Or are you hesitant? Are you kind of like isolating and staying to yourself? I did a lot of isolation because I felt that I had so many things going on. It was like a whirlwind of thoughts going on in my head as I was preparing to build myself and becoming better. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to not feel sad. During that process, I learned that no one is in control of my happiness. I am the only one that is in control of my happiness. And just like you, we all are, as human beings. We cannot seek happiness in others, people, places, or things. That happiness has to be inside of you. It has to be a part of you, like just like your DNA, just like the cells that create our body. That's how your happiness should be with you. And nobody should be able to shake that. And I know that it can be shook, but how do you get back on it? You have to have the belief in yourself that whatever it is that you set out to do to make your life better, it's going to be worth it. And you're definitely worth everything that it will require of you to get there. And that comes with anything: going to school, starting a new job, changing careers, moving, getting married, starting a new relationship, because you want to come whole. You want to be 100% who you are, and strong enough in your conviction of who you are to not be swayed. Know your likes and dislikes. Know what you want out of life. Know what you want out of life. Know what you want out of your relationships. That's romantic, family, work, business. Know what you're willing to do and what you're not going to do. All that helps you as you're growing, learning, and healing, and you're developing to create the life that you want to live. And everybody that's creating the life that they want to live, it doesn't mean that they don't like the life that they have. So I think I'm perfectly happy with the life that I have. I am. I just realized that for me, one job was not going to hold it down. Working two jobs was definitely going to kill me. Two jobs was definitely way too much. It left me very exhausted. It left me no energy to entertain the family, do anything. When you have a day off, you tend to sleep right through them. And if you're working days and nights, yeah, you're going to miss a lot. You miss a lot that way. And having the opportunity to be able to work from home or work from anywhere turned out to be a good thing for me, because I was still able to put in the long hours, but I was able to put the long hours in at home around my family. Anywhere that I could go, anywhere that I went, I could still access my business and still work my business. And all of this was like just so exciting and mind blowing that it was even happening. That I even sat down, created something, put my ideas together, as well as having my own idea and my dream. And your dream tends to grow as you're taking these steps, as you're growing, learning, and healing, and you're applying the skills that you're learning, and you're working on you to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind, to make sure that your health and your body is functioning the way that you need it to. In the beginning, I lost a lot of sleep, but it wasn't because I was crunching. I lost sleep because I was excited about what I was doing. The more I did, the more I wanted to do, because I was producing something. My hard work showed up. Something showed up from it. And that was very exciting in itself. And it kind of grew from there. But knowing who you are is a vital key factor in becoming the change you wish to see in your life. Reason being, you know your likes and dislikes, and we talked about that. We talked about what motivates you and what turns you completely off. That's knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want. And to be quite frankly, if you're a person like me, starting out and you don't have a clue of what you want because you haven't really thought about it, or maybe the life experience that you have gone through has touched you in such a way that you are kind of in a whirlwind and you feel lost, you feel confused, you feel like you don't fit in nowhere. You're sad by yourself and you're sad when you're with other people. It's terrible, but it's true. You know, it was a true place where I was. And it wasn't until I really saw that what I was doing, the steps that I was taking every day, produced something. And that made me feel good. So that has a positive impact on my life, because I was not only sharing parts of myself with others that I don't know, that I probably will never see, or maybe I will, but just connecting with people and having people reach out. And from some of the blogs and information that I've written thus far, sharing different life experiences, because I am a twice divorcee. I had the pleasure of speaking with a young lady from a whole other country. I forget what country she was from, but she reached out and we were talking in message in the inbox, and we were, getting to know each other. And she shared with me that divorce was not an option in her country. Once you're married, you're pretty much married to your spouse, and however that is going, you're kind of pretty much stuck there. And I get that, because it leads back to my mother's concept of, once you're married, you stay married until death do us part, no matter what struggles you go through. And watching that as a child growing up, seeing that, and then being a young mother, getting married, seeing, not knowing, not having the tools and the skills. That's what it was. Not having the tools and the skill and the maturity that is needed to work through the problems, to stay and keep the marriage. I chose to separate myself from the marriage, because it was easier for me to focus. I was a young mother, 18 years old, raising two little babies, and you have to make a choice sometimes. And I made a choice. And I understand that me telling my story, somebody else may hear it and it may impact them, but they may not be and have that option that I had. And by no means do I want to destroy anyone's home. I'm just going to say that if you are in a relationship and you are not treated in the manner in which is the proper way to be treated, or you are being abused, and abuse comes in different ways. There's verbal abuse, there's physical abuse, there's financial abuse. I think it's even like keeping you from your socialization with your friends and family. That's a sign of abuse. There's help for that. And I urge you to reach out to those resources in your area. A lot of them have 1-800 numbers that you can call toll free from anywhere to get the help that you need to get out and protect yourself and save yourself and your family. But that young lady brought it to my attention that, she wasn't able to do that. And we got to dialoguing, and she shared that she was kind of glad that she met me and we could talk about our children and everything. And it's just amazing how you get to meet people from all over the world and see that they're no different than you or I. They're people just like us, and they go through the same struggles. They have the same social ills or societal ills, if not worse, depending upon what part of the world you live in, which also brought in my awareness, because that pointed out to me even more so that the words that I choose to speak about, the things that I say, and I can only be me. I can't be someone else. I can't share someone else's experience. I can only share my experience of being a single mom, knowing what it is to have to raise these children off of TANF, government assistance, going back to school, getting an education, putting the children in daycare, selecting the right daycares, having the option of only just working one job within a certain perimeter of hours around my children's school schedule, because there was no aftercare program. I was the aftercare program. So I had to be home. I had to be done. I had to make my money within the time frame of which they went to school, which means that I had to have time to get them off to school and get myself to work so that I could work within a time frame, so that when they were dismissed by 3 o'clock, I was able to get to them. And if they had a half a day or something like that, I had to make arrangements. Sometimes I was blessed to have someone, a family member, or someone walk around to the daycare and take the children to my grandmother's house until I got there to get off of work. But most times I was able to get to them in a timely fashion and allotted. And I realized that through that process, I wore a badge across my chest, imaginary, but a badge nonetheless, of the single mom. Superwoman, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to carry it all. I'm going to do it all. And I did, because I had no other choice to do it all. I didn't have the opportunity to really conform and do like others, because childcare was not readily available to me. Dropping my kids off at my parents' house so that I could go out and hang out was not an option. So therefore, my awareness had already put me or gave me a taste of what it is to have to separate myself from the others. And as you're living, sometimes you realize that it's just something different about you, something different than other people. You get around other people, and it doesn't mean that they don't like you, none of that. You just get around your friends and you realize that there's something different about you. They realize there's something different about you too. Don't take it in a negative sense. Embrace your different. Embrace your weird. Embrace the fact that you may have to separate yourself from time to time throughout your life in order to make your life better. Separating yourself to concentrate on raising your children, providing a living for your children, and making yourself better all at the same time. It's a lot of balls to juggle, and you can juggle them. Are there residual effects of that? I'm sure there are. Well, for me, I can only speak for me, and I always say that. The trust issues, not being able to trust anyone, being afraid to trust anyone with my children, makes you very overprotective of your children, what they're doing, who they play with, where they're going. It just makes you more aware. The absence, not having a partner, makes you more aware of all the things that you do. And you do it with ease because you know it's you. That if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And you can sit around and wait for somebody to do it, but that ain't going to get crap done. So you got to do what you got to do. And I did what I needed to do. And I trained my brain in that process. I shifted my paradigm from thinking about what I didn't have or the lack of what I had, and just became satisfied and content and happy with what I did have. And I worked really hard to get better. And it took time, it took years to get better, to put myself in a better pay group, to put myself in a better position career-wise, to eventually graduate college. It took me 2 years to graduate. No, it took me 5 years to graduate from a 2-year college. And I encourage everyone, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to where you're going, as long as you never give up and you continue to go. Because as you're growing, so is your family. And when I shared the experience of the single mom thing and wearing my single mom badge, and I wore it for a very long time. And I'm here to tell you, and I'm sure other single mothers can agree, that although we wear that badge, it's tiresome. We would like to have someone come in and help us out, but we have to be very careful who you allow in, especially when the children are just used to you. Sometimes it's hard doing the blended family thing. It's probably a little easier if they're younger or if they're older, kind of like already getting ready to go out and live their life, because they understand they're coming from a different space. But if they're in that fragile in-between stage, depending upon when you're trying to start your life over, it may be problems. The children may not want to share it. They may not see the importance of this person being there. They may not fully understand it. And if that person is not open and patient and not willing to, allow the children to learn them as they are learn that person, as well as the person learning the children, there could be ways of doing it. And like I said, I lacked the skills, I lacked the maturation, I lacked the communication skills to make a relationship work. So it impeded on my relationship and caused them to dissolve. But the thing that did not dissolve in me was that drive, that will and determination that I was going to make it, whether I had a mate or not. I knew that my children's life and livelihood depended on me getting up every day and doing what I need to do to ensure that they had a roof over their head, that they had clothes on their back, that they had food in their stomach. And it doesn't mean that it has to be name brand. It just means that it has to be quality clothing, shoes on their feet, that is going to protect them, clothe them, and get them through, through life. And those motivating factors of the strong will, determination, pushing through when you're tired, when you are feeling lost, when you are feeling like, oh my God, when is this going to get better? You know what I mean? It's a lot of that. I remember a lot of days just wishing that things were better until I eventually just told myself that I'm going to be happy where I'm at with what I have. And I'm going to give these kids the best life that I can give them. And when I turned that around and I put my focus and attention on the children, helping them to learn how to read, helping them to learn how to count their numbers, teaching them respect for elders in my absence when I'm not there. You know, if there is a problem, tell me the problem and I will address the problem. You are allowed to speak your mind. It's not what you say, it's how you say what you say. It's the tone in which they say it. In raising children, there's all different kind of ways because they're still growing and learning and experimenting themselves as well. And when you're a teen mom, you basically kind of grow up with your children, which kind of has that marginal space of borderline mom, friend, you know, parent friend thing. But there's a thin line, and there's a way to make it all come together to where you are the authoritative person and you can set discipline and structure for your family and still create a loving environment and safe environment for children to feel free to express themselves and share whatever is on their mind with you as you're growing, learning, and healing, because you're all growing. So that means that if you're a single mom and the father's not in the picture, anyone that you bring in, try to bring into that picture, you're going to have to pretty much introduce them and kind of ease them on the kids. Or at least that's what I did, you know. And it may work and it may not work, but it doesn't mean that you can't try. But I'm here to tell you that you don't, and we're stopping. You don't have to wear the badge of superwoman, single mom, do it all, create it all, be all, because you are human. Allow yourself to be human. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, be able to identify those feelings that you're feeling, and figure out a plan on how you're going to make your life better, how you're going to get through that challenge or life struggle experience that you're experiencing. Join us again and when we come back so that we can wrap up awareness. And I want to thank you for your time today. Feel free to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We're out there, ladies and gentlemen. Stop and read our blogs. Have a wonderful, blessed, amazing day. And if you are wearing that Superwoman badge, don't be afraid to take it off, because you're a Superwoman without it. And you don't have to work so hard to prove it to the world, because God made you enough. So join me for our next episode so we can learn more about awareness and how we're moving towards change and getting out of conformity. Have a blessed day.